Today, insurgents to face consequences and pushback on a federal level. More coming up right after this. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Black Spring on your Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Thank you so much for joining me wherever you are. If you're joining me from the car, if you're joining me from the screen, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. Shout out to you, Battery Addiction. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And if you guys are joining me from wherever, if you could do those minor housekeeping tools, if you could use those tools, such as the like, the unlike button, and just help out with the channelytics, it'll be greatly appreciated. And thank you guys so much. I want to shout out the loyal patrons, and thank you guys so much. A shout out to Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Angels Army, Gary L. Youngkees Jr., Little Miss Goth, Chrysler Imperial H, as well as shout out to Cold War Jesus. Thank you guys so much for all you do and all the support that you bring to the channel. Shout out to everybody that's already made their way into the stream. Shout out to Battery Addiction, and shout out to Keith the Faith. Thank you guys so much for coming in on this Tuesday. It seems like a tumultuous Tuesday, or a turbulent Tuesday, or lots of projection and lots of gaslighting to get to, but we'll manage just fine. Oh, Keith the Faith, thanks so much. Thanks so much for that. Sometimes, when things hang in there together, you kind of land it. So thanks so much. Shout out to you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you in the old speak. I'll just say thank you. Battery Addiction says all my subscriptions are going live at the same time. Wow. What a position to be in. I thank you very much for being here. And good morning to you, Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you so much for coming in. And what I want to say is that we have quite a few stories today, and you guys are too much. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for coming in. I also appreciate everybody that was able to tune in for, last evening's or this morning's Moonlight stream. I really appreciate that. So I've got quite a few topics to get into, and I thought we might start out with something. Something a little bit more on the sociological kind of perspective, and of course, it's going to come from. It came from Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, and it's quite an interesting analogy. Can't get my a lot of consonants together there today. Oh, I really appreciate it, Chrysler Imperial H. I think I might do more of those. We'll see. I might do a little bit more. If I do those, I'm thinking maybe doing them off location a little bit. I know, Battery Addiction. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate all your time. Thank you so much for catching any time. I'm always here, even in the replay section or the comment section. So certainly, I interact as much as I can. But if I don't interact, I'll catch up, even if I go. Sometimes I work my way backwards, but I usually get in there and try to respond, because I appreciate the engagement on all levels. I appreciate you sharing your work time, or your break time, or can I say your smoke break, or your, whatever break you have. Anytime here, I appreciate the investment in your investment with me and your time here on the Black Spring channel here. Shout out to Robert L. Thank you so much for coming in. So let's just do a little bit of this. Now, this is actually coming from, if you're not familiar with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, the Dr. Peterson is a clinical psychologist as well as a professor of psychology in Toronto, I believe. But he's been on many university. He served on many university faculties, and I mean, no matter what your mantra or your beliefs are, we still have a faction of society that does subscribe to elites or what people might think of as elites. But I do believe that Dr. Peterson is appealing because he can speak clinical terms, but he also has a way of reaching you where you are. This one is, I don't think this one is very thick, but you might take a little bit more time on it. But I'll just give you a little bit of it, and you guys, I'll put it in the description box. But if you haven't checked out Dr. Peterson, I'm not in any way selling or advocating, or I'm not profiting from being a fan of his work or his studies, but I think he reaches people in ways, and he gives you more of a scale for your perspectives, and also gives you, for who knows, I mean, we all find ways to cope with what's going on around us, whether it's political, whether it's sociological, no matter what it is. It never hurts to have a level of expertise that's clinical, as well as, there's the educational, there is the research level, or the, let's see, I want to call you've got the clinical there, but then you've also got the methodical part. So his studies are informed not only, I'm saying all that to say, his studies are not only informed by his experience or his clinical studies, but he's also a instructor as well. So wherever you fare in the land of education, that's it. So without further ado, I'll just give you a little bit of this. Now, this is entitled Disney's Pinocchio, a modern myth of order and chaos. So what are we experiencing? What have we experienced since the beginning of time? What have we seen in most civilizations? We've seen order and chaos. And Dr. Peterson is fantastic on bringing you the perspective of order and chaos from something as, I don't know if you want to call it, as whimsy or light as Disney's Pinocchio. So I'll just give you just a little bit of this. I won't read the entire thing, but this is coming from his Beyond Order, and this is 12 more rules from life. 12 more rules for life. Now, you have the first book is 12 rules for life, but this is a follow-up to that book. So here we have from Disney's Pinocchio, a modern myth of order and chaos. The skilled and lovable creator, Father Geppetto, creates Pinocchio, who begins life as a puppet, a marionette, someone who is controlled entirely by invisible agents working behind the scenes. Thus, Pinocchio is represented as an enculturated agent possessed by patterns of action and interpretation instilled in him by his culture. For better, in the case of his father and creator, and worse, in the case of the coachman and his ilk. Geppetto wishes for something more than mere conformity and obedience for his creation. However, and nurtures a secret wish that his wooden-headed and too easily controlled son might develop some genuine autonomy. I'm going to stop right there, because I think there's a lot in that you could deconstruct, you could break down, and you could even throw it at what we see going on in our own, if you will, let me say, our domestic society as a whole, or the culture, our culture industry, our sociological experiences. So from that, I will go on to what we have, if I can say what we have on the docket for today. I do have I have a cue for your cue. What is this? What is sustainability? What is it? And that is the Q for your Q. So we'll go on from there, and we'll go ahead and I'll take you to the first story. Now, if you're not familiar, if you haven't heard by now, got quite a bit of business happening in Portland. Now, we've kind of cross-referenced this before as it related to, or the similarities to the Chaz or to the CHOP zone. Now, that was happening, of course, at the same time. You had these enclaves of unrest, insurgents, demonstrators, protesters, whatever you want to call them. It's all conditioning. They're going to call them protesters. Okay, so you're dealing with the newspeak, if you will. This is their newspeak. So I'll go ahead and take you to the first of our business today. So according to the Federalist, that's where we will go first. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. Hope everybody's doing well out there. We're going to deal with a story, and we're also going to have a word from Mark Long, the CBP commissioner. We're also going to have a word. We'll have some quoting from somebody that we've seen before throughout this administration, but also throughout some other things that have gone on in history that will come up later. So we'll go ahead and take you to that. Once again, shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring. Shout out to Battery Addiction, Keith the Faith, and another happy birthday, a belated birthday, if I can say that, to Keith the Faith. And thank you so much, Keith the Faith. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming in. Robert L., shout out to you. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial Age. Shout out to Battery Addiction. Thank you guys so much. So let's go ahead and get into that. We've got quite a bit going on, and maybe it'll give you a little bit of extra perspective. All right. So what we're going to deal with is our first story. And it does come from the Federalist. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. All right, so this story comes from the Federalist. Now, this is the Federalist is a division of FedRest Media. I just took the time to read that just now. So I'll bring you that story, and then we'll add the clips to that. Shout out to everybody in the stream. If you guys could do your due diligence on that like button, it would be more than helpful in these times of technocracy. And yeah, you're absolutely welcome. You're so welcome. Hi, the Lockhart Perspective. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm absolutely delighted that you are here. I am a fan of your work. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends, check out the Lockhart Perspective. She's a great content creator, and I'm a fan myself. So check it out. Check out everybody in the stream. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. So we're going to go right into the Federalist on this. All right. So I want to share this the screen with you guys here. All right, so here we go. This one's going to be entitled "Democrats Claim Stopping Portland Rioting is an Attack on Democracy." Ooh, nothing like projection to get you started, right? Nothing like that. And we'll give some historical context to that just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to be in and out of this one just a little bit, maybe some paraphrasing. So according to this is written by Elizabeth Vaughn. The left is gaslighting over the deployment of federal agents to address months of nightly riots in the city of Portland, Oregon, has reached epic proportions. The New York Times published an article on Friday entitled, quote, "Federal Agents Unleashed Militarized Crackdown on Portland." Okay, it begins. Federal agents dressed in camouflage and tactical gear have taken to the streets of Portland, unleashing tear gas, bloodying protesters, and pulling some people into unmarked vans in what Governor Kate Brown of Oregon has called, quote, a blatant abuse of power. Here we go. We're back on the abuse of power. All right. The extraordinary use of federal force in recent days, billed as an attempt to tamp down persistent unrest and protect government property, has infuriated local leaders who say the agents have stoked tensions. Quote, this is an attack on our democracy, Easy on the democracy. Now that came from Mayor Ted Wheeler of Portland. Okay. So according to this, Democrats' claim of, quote, unmarked jackbooted stormtrooper thugs randomly rounding up people, end quote, stem from the following incident. One of the quote, protesters, end quote, Mark Pettibone, 29, told the Times, quote, 4 people in camouflage jumped out of an unmarked van around 2 a.m. Wednesday. They had no obvious markings or identification, end quote. And he, quote, had no idea who they were, end quote. All right. Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat, posted a video showing Pettibone being apprehended by Customs and Border Patrol, that's the CBP, agents, and walked to an unmarked van. The word, quote, police, end quote, appears in large yellow letters on the front of the agents' uniforms. Now, here we go. According to Fox News, the Department of Homeland Security said this happened because they, quote, had information that the individual was suspected of assaulting agents or destroying property, and as a mob approached, end quote. All right. So, of course, here you'll find a statement released from DHS, from the CBP agents that approached the suspect. A large and violent mob moved towards their location. For everyone's safety, the CBP agents quickly moved the suspect to a safer location for further questioning. The CBP agents identified themselves and were wearing CBP insignia during the encounter. The names of the agents were not displayed due to doxing incidents. Wow, against law enforcement personnel who serve and protect our country. Okay, so then you have another statement here. I'm not going to read all of this. Of course, I can provide this, and I will provide this later in the description box. But, of course, both Merkley's claims appear to be erroneous. The agents wore CPB insignia, and according to the DHS, identified themselves to, quote, the protester, end quote. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the context here. So this is for those who challenge this on, either they want to challenge it on the law, the land, however they want to challenge it. This is where we have George Washington Law School professor, now Jonathan Turley. Now, Jonathan Turley, we've talked about Jonathan Turley before. If you guys aren't familiar, don't remember, but Jonathan Turley was one of the 4 constitutional scholars that was selected for the impeachment hearings. And in fact, Turley, during that particular set of hearings, admitted, say, look, I didn't even vote for Trump. I voted for Obama. And what you guys are doing right now, your claims, your charges, these charges that you're trying to pile on, you're the one that's abusing power. You don't have enough information. You don't have enough to build a case of impeachment. You don't have it. You don't have what you need. So, according to him, this is Jonathan Turley wrote, quote, as a legal matter, Portland cannot force the federal officers out of Portland or prevent arrest for federal offenses. This is the other side of federalism. The federal government has jurisdiction in the protection of federal buildings and the arrest of suspects in federal crimes. So also later today, we will hear from Mark Long, who is with the CBP. He's a CBP commissioner. I'm not sure if he's acting. I think they've had a little bit of change of the guard on that. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Oh, Derek C. Williams, thank you so much for coming in. Shout out to everybody. I'm going to take you guys to that clip in just a moment. And also, we'll probably do a little bit of a clip on the press secretary. I admire her for she's managed to tame what we call the press. They're not all rabid They don't behave as rabid as they used to do. So shout out to her. And they actually, can you imagine, they show her a little bit of respect in these times. So shout out to Derek C. Williams. Thank you so much for all that you do. You're never late to the party around here. Never late. Keith the Face says they are so triggered over those anarchists being arrested. But the language is what I'm saying. You know, I talk about the language a lot on this channel. They're just very disingenuous with the way they use the projection, the evasive, the follies, all of it. You know, the language is the enemy of the people. The media is the enemy of the people. You name it. You name it. You got it. It's all there for you. So shout out to Battery Addiction. He says, impeach Mayor Ted Wheeler. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move right into this clip. I really appreciate you guys for coming in. And thanks so much to everybody that was able to join me on the Moonlight live stream. You know, I'm getting off just a little bit. But, you know, those are actually quite fun to do. Chrysler Imperial says, you're always on time, Derek C. Williams. See, there you go. You can't beat that. You're always on time. So here we go. I'm going to take you guys to the clip, and you'll get a little bit of context from Mark Long. And there you've got your constitutional scholar. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, all this, you know, this minutia and the projection is pretty problematic. You know, they're projecting the Gestapo and all these Hitler, Nazi Germany terms, and even, you know, that's even more of a Cuban. It's a communist projection. It's a communist tone. They want to condition people for the same things that they say they're against. But that's what they've been doing for years, right? So, you know, by the way, it's not Trump's argument to defund the police, it's theirs, right? So he's not trying to get rid of the police. So, I mean, just get the historical context right. Just don't take everybody for not on a log. Just don't do it. It doesn't work out that well. They assume everybody doesn't know history. They assume everybody doesn't know context. But without further ado, I will take you to the clip. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn.
Chlorella is at.
Just 1 second here, guys. We will keep it going here. All right. So I'm bringing you a clip here. Thank you guys so much for doing your due diligence. Coming in. Here we go.
Like Portland, Oregon, thousands were there involved in a violent uprising that's been going on since May, causing federal law enforcement to intervene. President Trump says he will make it clear that unrest in these largely liberal cities will not continue on his watch.
We're not going to let New York and Chicago and Philadelphia, Detroit and Baltimore, we're not going to let this happen in our country. People say protesters, these people are anarchists. These are people that hate our country. And we're not going to let it go forward.
Joining me right now is Acting Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan. Commissioner, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining me. What can the federal government do about this? First, assess the situation, what we're seeing in these large cities across the country, and what can you do about it?
Well, the president is right. It's anarchy. And let's be clear, we're not talking about the peaceful protesters. What we're talking about are those individuals have hijacked these peaceful protests, and they're criminals. Let's talk about Portland right now. And Maria, let's be clear. The federal presence right now in Portland, we are there to do our statutory responsibility to protect federal buildings. That's why we're there. And well before we deployed additional resources, there was violence already going in Portland. That's one of the false narratives. And we actually had credible information that these criminals were actually going to attack the federal courthouse. So we deployed additional resources there. And guess what happened, Maria? The criminals, they did just that. And the first days we were inside the building, they attacked the building. They broke through the doors. They tried to enter the building and assault the federal agents are there. That is criminal behavior, and there must be consequences, and it can't be tolerated. And this president isn't going to tolerate that.
Well, what do they want, Mark? I mean, I understand initially, what took place after George Floyd was murdered, but at the same time, this is now going on for a long time. Do they want something different today, a month and a half later?
Look, what I see, what I understand as a career law enforcement, what you're seeing out right now, the criminal actions going on right now, Maria, has nothing to do with the tragic death of George Floyd. It has nothing to do with coming together to have reasonable dialogue that really leads to actionable items that really need to be done to increase the trust and confidence of those we protect and serve. These are criminals and anarchists that have an agenda that has nothing to do with George Floyd. And the American people, I believe that they understand that and they know that this is unacceptable. Maria, we have law enforcement officers. These individuals are willfully, knowingly planning, coordinating, and organizing every night to go with the willful intent to destroy federal property and injure and seriously harm federal agents. In what world is that acceptable? It's not. And this president is not going to accept it.
Well, I believe New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said, look, we're going to protect New York and we're not going to allow federal agents to come in. You've got Kentucky Senator Rand Paul pushing back on the federal response in Portland. He tweeted this yesterday: we cannot give up liberty for security. Local law enforcement can and should be handling these situations in our cities, but there is no place for federal troops or unidentified federal agents rounding people up at will. Commissioner, what's the response?
Maria, with all due respect, the senator's misinformed. Again, we are under their statutory authority, 40 U.S.C. They're to protect federal property. We're not out in the streets doing local law enforcement job with respect to the peaceful protesters. We are there protecting federal property. We have authority. And when we go off federal property, it is to do our job. We have probable cause and legal authority that someone has committed a felony, specifically assaulted a federal law enforcement officer. That's what you saw in that viral video. And if I could real quick, Maria, if I could address another false narrative that they're unmarked, military troopers. That's just absolutely false. They are law enforcement personnel, and they have at least 6 markings on them that says police, the CBP, Border Patrol. It's all identified. It's another false narrative that's out there that's very frustrating.
Unbelievable. Oregon Senators Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden, meanwhile, along with Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, have drafted a new bill they say will end the, quote, paramilitary occupations in major cities where federal officers were sent in. Your reaction to this bill they're drafting?
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Again, I'll go back to the facts. We are there. We had credible actual intelligence information that the courthouse was going to be attacked. That's why we deployed additional resources there to protect federal property. And that's exactly what happened. And guess what? The state and locals, we don't need their permission for federal resources to come in to protect the citizens that they won't protect. We don't need their permission. We're going to be there. And in Portland, we're staying.
So what are you expecting from the president then? That the federal troops will stay, or is there something else coming in terms of bringing law and order back?
Look, I'm not going to get ahead of the president and what he's specifically going to do, but I do know that this president and this administration is committed to law and order. And we're going to do just that. As a CBP commissioner, I'm going to support this secretary and the deputy secretary and this attorney general who all agree with law and order, a cornerstone of American society. I'm going to be standing with them shoulder to shoulder to support them on what we need to do to regain law and order in these cities, apply consequences to criminals. Look, American people, Maria, they want to be safe. They want to be able to walk outside and not think that they're going to get shot or be the victim of a violent crime. I know that that's what American citizens want, and that's what we're committed to.
So are you expecting federal troops to go into other cities? Which cities? I mean, putting Portland aside.
Yeah, so right now, again, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. And Maria, I know you don't mean this, but I think troops, federal troops, I think we have to, words matter. These are federal law enforcement officers and agents that are going to go into areas that need assistance to help either state and local and or further support and apply consequences to those committing federal crimes. That's what we're talking about, law and order. So
Yeah,
I'm going to let the president
this is really
announce
important
that.
Yeah, and it's very important that you make the distinction. So thank you for that. It's law and order. It's officers going in to ensure that there is law and order brought back. Mark, what are you seeing at the border today, given the COVID-19 issues and the crime across the country? What's happening that you can tell us about coming into the country?
Well, thanks, Maria. That's a really great question. And right now, I think it's very important. The major focus right now on the southwest border, besides doing our day job of stopping bad people, criminals, and alike, and drugs coming into the country, and still, commercial trade and travel still coming in. What we're doing right now, we've shifted from an immigration perspective to a public health perspective. And CDC's order, we call it Title 42, now gives CBP the authority to those that we encounter from a public health perspective to turn them around generally within a couple hours and return them to Mexico, so those individuals are not introduced into our system and could further spread the COVID-19 into this country. It's been very effective. We're returning about 86% of those we're encountering right now. Total, we've returned over 90,000 individuals since we had this in March back to Mexico. That's a game changer. And there's no doubt, Maria, that has saved countless lives in this country because of this president's initiatives and authorities.
All right, real significant. Mark, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much, sir. We'll keep watching.
All right. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on the segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So there you have, of course, you have your commissioner, Mark Long there, and of course you had some assertions from Jonathan Turley. And the thing about it is the disingenuous assertion in these reports that come out. It's here again. It's more about projection. So now they are continuing to write this narrative on tyranny. Now they're using paramilitaries. Now I got one for you. How about some people might see BLM and Antifa as a paramilitary. Whose paramilitary is that you've discharged onto the streets? I think that's a parallel too, right? But these officers are verified, so I don't think that's going to last long, which it's not. But I do think that I have seen some other statements that there may even, they may end up showing up at some of these other cities. We'll see what happens. Of course, that's going to be a developing story, because like all the other insurgents and revolutionaries that we've seen around the country, I think it's going to happen. Unfortunately, I think we're going to see more of that for the months to come. So, of course, we'll continue to follow the Portland. I'm not sure what they're calling it these days. It's probably not Occupy Portland anymore, because they're probably not able to occupy what they want with federal agents there. So you got your jurisdiction, you got your probable cause. I mean, what else do you need? So there you go. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. There you have your Q for the Q. I'm calling it the Q for the Q. What is sustainability? So we'll go on from that, but just before we do, but you got to think, just for a second, that the more unrest that we have here, the more graffiti that you see. This looks like something out of Eastern Europe, or the Berlin Wall coming down. The wall was the Berlin Wall was quite, graffitied or defaced as well. But this is not an American This is not a, I mean, what do you want to call it? They say a new norm. It's abnormal. It's abnormal. It's not, I'm not going to assign it a new normal. It's either normal or it's not. So, but we're conditioned now. They're conditioning you for unrest. But I tell you what, I think you're also being conditioned for some type of post-election unrest as well. I think that the unrest is going to continue unless it's quelled under the rule of law. That's the only thing that can happen. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me in this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And shout out to Derek C. Williams. Did I miss somebody coming in? Thanks so much, guys, for coming in and doing your due diligence on the Channelytics there. So, and then just on a lighter note, I have a lighter note for you. It's going to come from one of the star governors of the U.S. right now. You might find him. You can find him just about anywhere. He's always in the news. He's always got a nice smile, ultra bright smile and everything. And that would be Governor Gavin Newsom. Looks like Gavin Newsom's got another solution for California hair salons, barbershops, according to the SF Gate. Okay, so I'm going to bring you this. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment. All right, so he releases new guidelines. So we'll see what that looks like. It sounds a little bit it sounds like something that I won't say on this channel. But I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. But I'm going to bring you that. So if you're looking to go to the barber shop or the beauty shop in the near future, according to the SF Gate, California Governor Gavin Newsom said in his press briefing on Monday, new guidelines are now available for hair and nail salons, barbershops, and other personal services that wish to operate outdoors. All right, outdoors. All right. So Newsom said previous guidelines were unclear and didn't address local ordinances such as rules. Guys, sorry about this. Not sure where our noise is coming from here, but hold on. All right. Took care of that. Sorry about that. All right. So Newsom said previous guidelines were unclear. Quote, turns out, well, this is important. Newsom said previous guidelines were unclear and didn't address local ordinances such as rules around the outdoor use of chemicals. Okay. So, all right. Get your sustainability on. All right. Quote, turns out there were issues of chemicals and shampoos and perms. Oh my gosh. Seriously? I don't mean to laugh, but this is, you can't, the hits just keep on coming. The crazy makers just keep on coming. All right. So turns out there were issues of chemicals and shampoos and perms. It was more complicated than some had considered, especially in terms of local orders in place, end quote, Newsom said. Quote, hopefully that provides more clarity. According to the new guidelines posted online, quote, outdoor operations may be conducted under a tent, canopy, or other sun shelter as long as no more than one side is closed, allowing sufficient outdoor air movement, end quote. The Professional Beauty Federation of California and a state assemblyman from Fresno previously requested Newsom waive a state regulation in order to allow stylists and barbers to offer services outside, according to KTVU. A letter to the governor said it was unfair to allow other industries, such as restaurants, to operate outdoors and not salons and barber shops. All right. So new guidelines also state that some personal care services that require touching a client's face, such as facials and waxing, nail services, and massage therapy, can also be performed outdoors if safety measures are met. electrology, tattooing, and piercing services aren't permitted outdoors. Quote, because they are invasive procedures that require a controlled hygienic environment to be performed safely, end quote. According to the guidelines, hair and nail salons in counties that have been on the state watch list for more than 3 days for increased hospitalizations and cases can't operate indoors, but they can provide outdoor services if they follow the new guidelines. Newsom provided an update on the state's overall pandemic status on Monday, saying that 33 counties still remain on the watch list for increased case rates and hospitalizations. Quote, there is a list we're laser focused on, end quote, he said. This list represents an overwhelming majority of the state population, end quote. San Francisco was added to the list on Friday. Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, Napa, Santa Clara, Solana, Sonoma were already on the list. So San Mateo is the only Bay Area county not on it. All right, California reportedly now has 391,538 confirmed cases, resulted in 7,694 deaths. And Newsom said the 7-day average for new cases in a day is 8,911, with 6,846 new cases reported yesterday. The positivity rate over the past 14 days is 7.39%. Last week, the 2-week average was 7.41%. All right. So, of course, you've got hospitalizations data. You guys can read this for yourself. But I would think that these numbers, I don't know what kind of oversight they have on these reportings, but it sounds a bit much and outlandish. Sounds a bit much. Sounds a bit like more cooking the books and fudging the numbers. But I'm just thinking, like, for a hairstylist, there's only so much you can do outside. But then, okay, but there again, that's all problematic, because when you're talking about for a state that's environmentally conscious, why would you suggest anyone do those services outside, especially if they're chemical services? It's gases into the air, right? You're breaking your own sustainability code, environmental sustainability, right? Global warming, right? You don't be giving off extra gases, right? All right, get your sustainability on wherever you are. All right, shout out to everybody in the stream. I really appreciate it. It's nice to see your shining profiles or avatars on this Tuesday. It's nice, Yellow Rose of Texas. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's see. Shout out. Derek C. Williams says, hold up, wait. Sufficient airflow outside. Chrysler Imperial H says, confirmed. False positives counted as confirmed cases in this thing. I sent emails. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. I almost said, I will respond back. And Touchdown Sean says, hope they have a pool next to them while they are doing hair. Yeah, because those chemicals aren't something that you can't run the water outside. There's no I tell you, who knows? Well, that's going to be a story I guess we're going to be following, because there's lots of lawsuits going on, and we'll see what else happens. But shout out to everybody in the stream. And I'd like to take a moment to thank our loyal patrons. Shout out to Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Angels Army, Little Miss Goth, Chrysler Imperial H, Gary L. Young Keys Jr., as well as a shout out to Cold War Jesus. Thank you guys so much for all you do and your support. And thank you so much to the loyal subscribers and new subscribers. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you. Nice to see you, Yellow Rose of Texas. Thank you so much. Shout out to Battery Addiction. Thank you so much. Shout out to Touchdown Sean. Yeah, quite a few. The TR show. How did I miss the TR show coming in here? How are you, TR show? Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. It's nice to see you here. And shout out to Keith the Faith, Derek C. Williams, the Lockhart perspective. You know, I have a star-studded heavy hitters on the platform today. Thank you guys for coming in. I really appreciate it. You guys get to know each other. I appreciate that. Even though I'm not a growth stream, I encourage networking and just do it on a covert kind of manner. And I will say it's pretty effective when you do that, when you do it inside of the actual stream, or you do it pretty quickly. You know, don't let it get away. You know, seize the moment, seize the interest, seize the networking there. Shout out to you. Derek C. Williams says, in 10 years, folks will be laughing at all the stuff government is trying to put in place today. And Chrysler Imperial H says, I think the stat could be inflated too. I'm not sure. We'll see. I think I saw something yesterday. I wasn't really, it might have even, I'm not saying it's the plural of hearsay makes something, you know, confirmed or accurate, but I saw something about a motorcycle accident being counted as a pandemic, a COVID case. So, you know, you do the grill. You guys got it. So, and now on to more coverage. I do have something from, it looks like I have something from Beverly Beatty. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I did run a few things on Beverly last night, but I think she has something else to say, and you might find it interesting. So we're going to take you there right now. Once again, thanks so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I will be taking you there right now. Just before I take you there, I'll give you a little bit of background here. So apparently there's a Black Lives Matter class action lawsuit. I guess the lawsuits are going to start mounting up, piling up. And this is what Miss Beatty has to say about that. Let's see. She says, currently working with lawyers across the country to file lawsuits against Black Lives Matter for the damage and destruction they've caused to persons and property. If you or someone you know has been injured or their property destroyed because of the riots incited by Black Lives Matter, please reach out to me. Even if your family member has died, do not hesitate to reach out. We will help you. So, and she also provides the name of the ministries on here as well. So I'm going to get out of the way, and you guys can do what you need to do. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn.
Been praying for ways to fight back. Painting that mural was a symbolic way to express our freedom of speech. But regardless of that, BLM still has to come down, and it's still not over. If any of you of any state, I'm talking to the small business owners, I'm talking to the people whose family members have died in the middle of being in Black Lives Matter riots. If you have in any way, shape, or form been directly affected by Black Lives Matter, contact me at Bevelyn at atwellministries.org. Again, Bevelyn at atwellministries.org. And we are going to file a class action lawsuit against Black Lives Matter, but we cannot do it alone. And we don't care what other Antifa people are watching this and feel like they want to come against it. It doesn't make a difference. You cannot stop God. But for anybody who has been directly affected, contact us and we will get you a lawyer, and we will get everything set up for free. and you can sue them if they have affected you directly. You want to say something?
You know what? While we are, you just mentioned Antifa. Antifa, you better lay low because you may be added to that list. And we'll sue the BGs out of you too.
Again, if you have been directly affected, whether it was your business, whether you were beat up, whether it was a family member, no matter what happened, if you know and you can prove that you have been directly affected by the Black Lives Matter movement and the Black Lives Matter riots, contact me and I will get you in connection with a lawyer who will help you, and we are going to sue the founders.
Come on.
We're going to hit them where it hurts, in their pockets, because they're hitting our American people where it hurts, in their pockets. So sometimes you got to pay fire with fire. All right. So again, contact me. I will get you connected and let's fight. Let's take our country back. I know a lot of you can't come out with us. You can't paint. You can't protest. But guess what? You can sue. We will help you do it. All right. Just wanted to send that message to you guys. God bless y'all. And until next time.
All right, guys, sorry, I got to get it together. Once again, thank you so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So they're always, it seems like, these women are active, they say, I don't mean to sound uncool or whatever, but I actually don't care. They're not just talking about it, they're being about it, and they're keeping you in the loop. They're keeping you in the know. So if you want to know what they're doing, it's there for you. It's there for you. So I think she even provided an email address on her. I think that was maybe her Instagram page where that came from. So yes, appreciate you guys so much. Shout out to Keith the Faith. So yes, I'll move on to the next story. Thank you guys for coming in on your Tuesdays, for spending time here. On the platform. So we're going to go to another story. I'll bring you the one it's going to come from Breitbart, and then I'll give you some context for that story. And also there's a cue for your cue, and I'm going to probably pull that down just a second. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So without further ado, I will take you to that. Hope you guys are doing well and that you are finding your week productive wherever you are. Okay, I want to back up just 1 second here. Once again, hope you guys are doing well. Let's see, we're going to move on to, all right, so looks like we've got a situation where we've got something from Breitbart, and it looks like it's concerning Tucker Carlson. It looks like the docs, where have we seen these tactics before? And it's always the opposite that's projecting onto somebody else, what they're doing onto somebody else. Sorry about that. So I'll take you there right now. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulty there, but I will fix it right up. All right, so it looks like Tucker Carlson, the New York Times, is threatening to reveal where he lives, to hurt him, to injure his kids, his wife and kids. So apparently that's coming out of Breitbart. I guess that's the same thing as doxing a person. I would imagine it's the same type of bit there. Pretty pretty dangerous, but I'm just thinking that these are new norms, right? I mean, not new norms. I said I wasn't going to subscribe to that. So this is what's going on. You could be retaliated against, by the mob or by their own propaganda ministries or their own armies or their own Gestapo or their own paramilitaries. That's what I see there. So yeah. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So I'm going to move on. Sorry about that. So I'll bring you that story later. But I thought I had some audio on that, but I think it's not quite working. So I'll move on to the next one. Okay. So we have another story. Shout out to everybody in the stream. I'm going to share this next clip with you for sure. And I do have audio and video for you on this one. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. If you are new here, thank you so much for coming in. And if you haven't, hit that like button. If you could do that, that would be helpful with the channelytics around here. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to this particular segment. Thank you guys so much. Now, this segment of our show is brought to you by our good friends at the John Birch Society. Less government, more responsibility, and with God's help, a better world. The JBS is a constitutional educational organization that's been around for over 60 years, dedicated to upholding and defending the Constitution and working to preserve our freedoms and liberties in this country. So that's our TNA source for today. All right, so this comes from Bob Adelman, and this is a Fordham University. Fordham University punishes a student for committing, quote, bias, end quote, crime with Instagram post. I'm going to bring you the video right now. According to this, on June 3rd, Austin Tong, a legal immigrant from China and a senior at Fordham University, had the temerity to publish a photograph of David Dorn, the retired Black police captain who was fatally shot while defending a friend's pawn shop during a violent protest in St. Louis in the wake of George Floyd's death at the hands of a white police officer. Beneath it, he posted, quote, "Y'all a bunch of hypocrites." All right, so I'll bring that to you guys. Let's see. Uh-oh. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. A little bit delayed here. Hold on. Sorry about the technical difficulties. You guys are the best in patience, the best around. So I will bring you that clip just a second. I might have to rip it off from the other end, but I'll get it, no less. What do we have? So when asked why he published the photo with the caption, Tong said he did it to express his, quote, disappointment in people who did not care about the death of a Black policeman, which never should have happened, end quote. Fordham investigated the incident, and Tong told the university, quote, "I believe that Black lives matter means that all Black lives matter, including the lost life of a patriotic police officer who dedicated his life to his family and country," end quote. He added, quote, "The post was not only expressive of my remorse that a police officer's life was lost, but also to affirm my belief that the lives of everyone matters," end quote. The next day, June 4th, the 31st anniversary of Tiananmen Square atrocity, Tong posted a photo of himself holding a semi-automatic rifle and declaring, quote, "Don't tread on me." And hashtag 198964, 198964. Quote, "The hashtag is reference to the massacre." When asked why, he told Campus Reform, quote, I wanted to honor the memory of an important Chinese democracy movement and the appreciation of the right to bear arms in America. As an immigrant, a big beauty of America to me is the right it gives its citizens to bear arms, not only to protect themselves, but also to keep the government in check. End quote. Wow, that's powerful. When asked why, but the posts were just too much for Keith Emerson, Fordham's dean of the students. He sent Tong a letter of reprimand indicating that the post violated the school's, quote, code of conduct, end quote, regulations and policies, and meted out draconian punishment. You shall not represent the university in an extracurricular activity or run for or hold office in any student group or organization and or represent the university in any varsity or club sports. Violation of any terms of this disciplinary probation subjects the student to immediate suspension or expulsion from the university. In addition, Emerson told Tong, your access to Fordham University is restricted and you will complete the academic requirements in academic year 2020-2021 via online instruction. If you have a need to be on campus, you must request permission from this office at least one business day in advance. You will be required to complete activities related to learning about implicit bias. You're required to write an apology letter. A copy of these sanctions will be sent to your parents. Tong responded that not only his rights under the First Amendment are under attack by Fordham, but those of America as well. America's under attack. Americans are being silenced. I hope to use my punishment as a milestone and reflection of the constitutional crisis we are facing today as a society. Coming to this country as an immigrant, one would think America is a nation of law and freedom of speech. Yet that is no longer the case. Not simply did Fordham University break its promise and punish me, but it signaled to students nationwide that free speech is a political trap that will destroy you. Tong's case came to the attention of the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, FIRE, which has defended free speech rights of students on college campuses since 1999. Its primary focus is on such draconian, quote, speech codes implicit at Fordham. Lindsay ranked fire programs officer fired off a letter to Fordham. All right, so this is the end of this one, guys. I know it's a bit long, but hang in there. When Tong immigrated to the United States from China at 6 years old, his family sought to ensure that he would be protected by the rights guaranteed by their new home, including the freedom of speech and the right to bear arms. Here, however, Fordham has acted more like Chinese government than an American university, placing severe sanctions on a student solely because of off-campus political speech. Emerson gave Tong until July 23rd to respond to the school sanctions. Tong has said that if the school doesn't retract its sanctions by the date, he will take legal action. I thank everybody so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So, wow, that's, but when you think about it, when you think about the university, the current day university, I'm not surprised. They're pretty much run by liberals and elites, and they want you got to conform. You gotta repeat, not think. Repeat after me. Don't think, just repeat, repeat, repeat. So there you go. And campus reform is campus reform is not a reliable source from where I'm sitting. It's not. They don't do, their interviews are very, very, very biased, very one-sided, very unbalanced at best. So shout out to everybody in the stream. Yellow Rose of Texas says defund higher education. Check out if the dean is accepting outside funds that are lining his pockets. Very interesting. Yellow Rose of Texas. Well, that would be interesting. Well, I think already earlier this year that there's already been some expose on the amount that even on the Ivy League has been receiving funds. and grants and money at the taxpayer's expense. I mean, but if you're an elite school, why are you receiving all these breaks and all these grants for, you know, for studying, you know, how long it takes, you know, the ketchup to hit the paper plate or something. It's some of the most frivolous funding that they've received at the taxpayer's expense. And so you'll find that interesting. I think that's a whole nother deep state. That's a deep state, a set of technocracy in itself. The universities. So there you go. That's the culture, the elite culture, the tower, the glass, the ivory tower rights, if I can say that. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream. Yes, I would imagine that they would, because they've really been strong, and they've had a lot of attacks on campus. I mean, not to mention California has had tons. The UC Santa Cruz, I could go on. Anybody that with conservative views, or anybody that comes out, they just attack them and snap. Like, I think maybe somebody was maybe wearing a MAGA hat, and the students just started grabbing and attacking, and you know, it's just, I'm not sure. It's a big lump. It's a big lump of technocracy, and education is, you know, they have seized education. But, you know, I find that many of these Destroy America types of movements, whether they were nonviolent or when they became violent, they were all set up around the 60s and 70s, you know, whether it was the sociological perspectives. I mean, from the sociology departments, they all basically, you know, had campaigns. You know, what Coward and Piven, from on economic standpoints, on, you know, welfare and that kind of a bit. You had tons of, and you had other movements, other revolutionaries. The Weatherman Underground. It just, I mean, I could go on. There's totally. You had the Frankfurt schools. You've got just, yeah, America's been under, you know, if you think about it, it's been under attack for some decades. I just don't know. I'm stunned that no one has recognized it before now and didn't realize, you know, where we were going. I mean, I'm not trying to tell my age, but, you know, you can't, I mean, I can't believe, you know, nobody could see any of this, see any of it coming. But, you know, they're writing the books. The academics are writing the history books. They're teaching the teachers. They're writing the books. I mean, where are you going to go? You're surrounded. Changing definitions. Everything is a living, this whole progressive thing is a living, everything's living and breathing. Every document's living and breathing. And some people look at, I mean, the state of California, it's in the state constitution that, you know, that this constitution is living. It's a living and breathing document. And most people would beg to differ. But, you know, they're the first ones to yell constitutional. Oh, we're custodians of the Constitution. Our democracy. Democracy is the process, because this is a constitutional republic. So the way they apply the word democracy is always, it's a false narrative, a false equivalency at best. So yeah, I'm sorry to go off on a bit of a rant there, but shout out to everybody in the stream. Yellow Rose of Texas, 60s and 70s, when drugs really hit the streets. Some of us live then and now. They cannot change the history that we actually lived through. We've maintained copies of the actual old time books. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Yellow Rose of Texas. Are you actually from Texas, or do you live there? Because I really want to do a segment on Texas and what's actually going on there. There's quite a bit, you know. I think Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, his book tells the whole story. You know, Hold Texas, Hold the Nation, I believe is the title of that book. But the left has been flipping seats and flipping and turning veins blue since, earlier, for a while now. And yeah, he just, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West just won the GOP chairman position, but he's already being called they used four adjectives to describe him. Somewhere between hardline, racist, conservative, handler, something like that. Yes, Keith the Faith. Yes. So saying that he's what's wrong with the party, and you don't have a welcoming party. You don't have an assortment of people of all colors. It's just the usual identity politics, the usual suspects. But maybe I might have something to follow up with that on. I hope I have something to follow up with you on that soon. So thank you so much. Says we have our Yellow Rose of Texas says we have our own history, believe in lock and load, and will not allow the blue pill here. We are working in the streets. We are working the streets as we should. Touche. Thank you so much for sharing that, Yellow Rose of Texas. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring. So I'm just going to do a shout out to everybody in the stream again. Shout out to Yellow Rose, Keith the Faith, Derek C. Williams. Let's see, who else do we have? Chrysler Imperial H, thank you so much for still being here. And shout out to everyone. I'm trying to mention. Shout out to Touchdown Sean. Shout out to Battery Addiction. Let's see. Who else do we have? We had the TR show in here. Thank you so much, TR, for coming in. Shout out to Robert L. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Robert L. I really appreciate that. And Derek C. Williams, I'm going back into your comment. I'm familiar with Turley. You know what? Turley called out, I think when the talk of Flynn being, potentially being released earlier, this year, I think Turley came out and attacked, and basically Obama was saying that there was no precedence for, what they wanted to do with his case, which I think Turley came right back and no, sir, you're wrong. You did this with your own AG. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. This is just the most interesting. What a time to be alive. Can I say that? What a time. Keep the faces. I'm glad my parents aren't here to see this crap. I hear you. Keep the faith. I really do. It's craziness. Let's see. All right. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. It's time to ditch Ray and replace with Jen Flynn Karma. Thank you so much. All right. So what I want to do is just briefly, I'm going to put this link out in the stream. If you're interested in answering this question, I'll give you 1 to 2 minutes on what is sustainability. Really appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Thank you guys for spending your time. And dare I say, don't be shy around here. We take all voices from all backgrounds, all walks of life. No strangers here. So there you go. So I'll probably close the stream out in about 15 minutes. So if you want to take a shot at what is sustainability, we will be here to listen. I appreciate you guys for hanging out and being so supportive. This is, I'm going to read your comment here at Yellow Rose of Texas. Oh, da-da-da. Derek C. Williams. Nice to see you. How are you doing on your Tuesday?
Yes, ma'am. Shout out and respect due to Black Spring with Autumn. Intelligence done right.
I appreciate you for coming in and all your support and all your strengths.
It ain't no strength really. I went back to my to the live that I did on Saturday night, and you said thank you, and I said, well, for what? And you know the chat be moving, so I missed what you said, and so when I went back to go look at the replay, it said your strength and your free spirit or something like that. It is this just about being grown. I mean, you may call it that, but I call it just being an adult. I'm a grown man, and a man is as he is as he conducts himself. And so what you see when I be going live is what you get. That's how I be living. You have to forget the background. Now everybody want to talk. Normally it's quiet in here. I'm in my lunchroom, but that's basically all it is. I'm not afraid. I done lived a good life. I mean, everybody, like King said, longevity has its place and all that type of stuff, man. But I live through my daughter. If I die tomorrow, man, I live through my daughter. So I ain't scared of nothing. So no, you ain't gonna see me with no I'm in the medical field. You ain't gonna see me with no mask. You ain't gonna see me social distancing. You ain't gonna see me doing none of that because it don't add up. Okay. Yeah. So you won't see me doing none of that. Yeah. So that's all that is.
I hear you. So what do you think about the sustainability? What do you think about sustainability?
In nature or with people?
Let's go with people. Let's go with that.
No, because I always use the phrase. I mean, it's true. All you have to, it's called the human condition. This thing not going anywhere. It is a perfect Trojan horse to get pushed up through. Is perfect in the sense that because people don't take the time to vet and do their due diligence, they scared out of their mind. Even people in the medical field, they scared out of their mind. And I don't know, something like say for instance, even with the example of Neil Ferguson, the very reason the UK locked down was because Neil Ferguson said at least 500,000 people was going to die in England. Well, he ended up getting caught. He resigned from the college over there in shame because he was over there trying to go get some sex from his married girlfriend. Now, you would think that would be enough to make people say, well, yo, if this guy can break social distance, it must not be all what it's cracked up to be. But never mind that they actually done got worse, and it's gonna come here too. In my opinion, I think it's going to get worse as well. But with regards to the sustainability thing that I think you're talking about, it's going to hold. It's going to hold because people have been thoroughly frightened. My daughter can't go nowhere because all her friends, parents are scared for them to go out because they gonna die and all this old nonsense, So like, no, so good luck with that. It's going to hold for the foreseeable future, And you can like for instance, the information I sent you today. All this stuff is well known, but if David Muir don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. So, yes, they are counting gunshot deaths as coronavirus. That guy you mentioned about the dude that died in a motorcycle crash. I think that was down in Florida. They counting that as a straight coronavirus. That's a lie. But if David Muir, NBC, and Rachel Maddow and them, and they don't talk about it, it don't exist. Because you're smart. Like I say, intelligence done right. But we don't have a groundswell of that. And somebody like Mike Adams or Sarah G or Alex Jones that talks about it, people already have an aversion to these people, so they will never go and get no now I wouldn't even call alternative information, more factual information. So it kind of like you can know all this stuff, but it ain't gonna really matter to nothing. Something's gonna have to happen on the national level to get people's attention.
Well, I hear you. I do. I can see what you're saying, and I do think that those figures that you mentioned, those elements, the media, arms, you know, they play a big role. They've got a big role in this whole thing. And it's controlling them, for control the narrative, control the information, and, you know, keep the, you know, I honestly, I'm concerned that they, you know, I just did a video on the, I did a video on this 4D, on this ID kind of a bit, you know.
I'm gonna go back and look at that too. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, so I mean, but you know, I've seen you talk about it on your platform. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Derek C. Williams. He is an amazing supporter and amazing contributor on the channel. I appreciate him coming in, and he's a great content creator. So you want to check him out without a doubt.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I want to say. I want to thank you for having me up, and again, I just real quick and close. I don't know if it was Richard Helms or whomever it was in part of the CIA, but I saw a quote from him years ago that said that we know that our work is complete when everything that's on the TV to the American public is a lie, or something like that. So it was some type of quote he said. And so you can have all the facts and figures you want. You can have the information that's manifestly provable. But until we get a groundswell of people pushing back, that's the reason why you're going to have people fighting over masks, people dying because you checking them about not wearing the mask and stuff like that. So, you know, so again, just thank you for your time. I would just say, you see me outside, like I be doing these videos out in the park. I do that for the express purpose of showing people that I don't care what they got going on. You need to try to find some normalcy in your life. It ain't enough just to be wearing your mask in your car, looking like you ignorant. You know, you wearing the mask under here, so you ain't helping nobody. You know, all that is just virtue signaling, man. Every time I see, and you know how I get down. I'm not gonna curse on your platform, Black Spring, but every time I see a moron in the car, you got the damn mask right here. So what is you doing? What is you doing? You got the mask hanging on your visor. You looking like a damn fool. I'm sorry, excuse my language. You ain't looking too smart. And you got a cell phone. You got a cell phone. I tell my daughter all the time, Black Spring, don't be a dumb person with a smartphone, man. So I'm gonna go and step off and thank you for your time, all right?
Yes, without a doubt. Thank you so much for coming on, ladies and gentlemen. This is Derek C. Williams. Thank you, Derek. Have a good rest of the day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So yeah, you know, the sustainability question, it's a long range one, I know, and it touches a lot of points. So it's tentacles. There's a lot of tentacles in sustainability. Let me say that. And shout out to everybody in the stream. I'll probably run this another 10 minutes, and then I will roll this one up. And thank you guys so much for all your support and for your time. And yeah, just thank you guys for all that you do, because without you guys, there is no channel. So, and just for kicks, you know, I might come on again later tonight. We'll see. Because last night was the first time that I've done a moonlight stream in a while, and it just felt, you know, it felt like a good thing. It was the right conditions to do a stream, and everybody was pretty much down to. Everybody was pretty much you wound it down a little bit after your day, and so yeah, it was a long day. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Derek C. Williams. Thank you so much for coming in. I said we'll do this a little bit regular. I'm going to try to do a little bit more engagement. Also, I will be putting another poll into the stream. There's a lot of things I'm trying to do that I'm trying to schedule for the channel, and I will be rolling those things out to you. So keep an eye on that community tab as well as the Patreon tab for those things. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. So, you know what? I want to play one more thing. This particular video I'm going to play this one more video for you guys, and we'll see. Hopefully they'll hang it in there. They will hang it in there, and they won't run interference, as my brother used to say. I don't know if he says that anymore, but when I say that, I'm about to tell my age. When I say that, I'm going back to the days of my brother playing. Was it like Tecmo Bowl or something like that? So don't laugh. Don't laugh at my Tecmo Bowl references. It's all in good fun. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream. So I'm going to bring you this. This was a bit of a. This was the. I'm going to bring you the last clip. This is back to Miss Beatty. I did do a video on this, but I thought it might be important to play it for those of you. I'm going to play it in its entirety. If it gets yanked, I'm letting you know that I'm giving it up my all right now. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. So I want to bring you, this is from Miss Beatty and the release. This was their release from the painting, or whatever you want to call it, the defacing, or whatever's in your hat, whatever you got. So here we go. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
I'm just waiting on a few people from live to get up on here so we can talk, because I want to give you guys an update on last night. I am home. I'm sitting in my living room, cruising on my couch. Emmy's in the back getting something to eat. Say what's up. You guys, we love you too. Hi, Michael. Y'all, look at my hands. Look at my hands. Look at my leg. Okay, I have to wear long pajamas, but I keep my AC on. I keep my house freezing. Look at my legs. I still have black paint all over my legs because I couldn't get it off last night. I could only get from my knee up to my chest. My arm still got some on it. I'm going to go to Home Depot now, but we slept in today, because, bro, way too tired. Way too tired. Y'all, we did an all-nighter. Let me tell you something. Yesterday was epic. And I'm going to tell you why it was epic. Because prior to us doing what we did, we paid respects to the police. And we're going to keep it very simple. We ain't going to say too much because we don't want no police officers getting in trouble. We paid respect to the police and we let them know what was up. You're going to have to read between the lines and use your noodle. And when we went there and we did what we did, just know the police were in 100% agreement with us. 100,000% agreement. We were the voice that they couldn't have. We were we were the stand that they couldn't take at that moment. And the Lord just blessed. The Lord just blessed what happened yesterday. Like, you guys, man, when I say it was so amazing, the police treated us like princesses. The treatment they gave us. Now, we ended up being at precinct for a while because they had to do a lot of our paperwork, but they treated us with love and kindness. They fed us. They made sure we were hydrated. I mean, they treated us so good.
4 bottles of water each. Every hour, do you want to drink something? Can we give you some water? Can we give
Took
you some
care
water?
of us. And look, for every person that came in, because 2 more people came in after us for throwing paint on that mural, they treated them good too.
Yes, they did.
They didn't beat them up, and they were in and out. They got their charge. They were in and out. When I say these police officers are loving and kind, and everything that they say police officers aren't, they are.
Yes.
And I'm telling you right now, if ever there's a time to rise up and take back your country,
It's now.
It's now.
A lot of people thought I was being a hero by doing what I did, but I wasn't being a hero. I was being an American. I was being an American. But more than that, I was being a Christian.
A Christian.
This is what Christians do. We turn tables. We destroy the works of the devil. This is what Christians are called to do. And that's what God allowed us to do. And he gave us favor. And I can't give y'all too much detail because I don't want the people working at the police department to get into anything. Yes. But at the end of the day, when I tell you these people showed us so much love and favor, it was crazy. When I say cray cray, I mean cray cray.
Unbelievable.
Okay? And so let me tell you what I found out while I was at the police station. Right now in New York, the police are scared to arrest people because there's a possibility that they will go under investigation or they themselves will be arrested. Okay? 2 days ago, a police chief, one of the highest ranking police chiefs, and 3 other policemen got assaulted. One got hit in the head, had to get 8 stitches. Guess what happened? The guy who did it got off without bail. Yep. They just released him. They released him. They didn't even charge him. They released him. That's a what did he call it? A first-degree crime. But he was released in New York.
Towards a police officer.
Especially towards a police. It's a high-level first-degree felony crime. He was released, okay? Let's take it a step further. A couple of other police officers went to Shake Shack down the street from the precinct. And they had bleach in their shakes. All 3 of them had to go to the hospital. Okay? This is what's going on. Police are leaving. 35 police officers a day right now are retiring. A day. But because of the defundment of police, guess what? No police are being hired. So police are leaving New York City by the droves right now. They're leaving. This is the information I found out. They're leaving. And that mayor has 28 police officers around the clock at that mural in 5th Avenue. Okay, while people are dying in the hood, he's making sure that that mural is guarded because it's a political statement. And one of the black police officers told me that. He said, Black Lives Matter pisses me off, and Mayor de Blasio pisses me off the worst because he is using us as a political statement. Always. He could care less about us. Let me tell you something. There is more diversity in the police force than there is in the Black Lives Matter people. Majority of the people pushing Black Lives Matter are white liberals. And then you got some uneducated other races. And then you got your token blacks. But the majority of them are white liberals. You have more diversity with the police than you do with Black Lives Matter. But guess what? Black Lives Matter does not speak about the black cop that dies. Black Lives Matter doesn't speak about the black man that dies due to black on black crime. Black Lives Matter does not address the black baby in the womb that's murdered and the fact that that's the number one killer of black Americans right now. Black Lives Matter is for all of that. And another thing, Black Lives Matter is against the black man. Black Lives Matter does not support the nuclear family. Black Lives Matter hates the black man because the man itself stands for authority. The man in itself stands for pillar. Okay. And once you remove the man from any family, and let me tell you how you can remove a man in any family. Because if you put 2 men together, you ain't got no men. You got fairies. Fairies can't raise kids. Yeah, I said it. Ain't 2 men together, you don't got no man family. You got a family full of fairies and fruitcakes. And you can't raise no kids like that. And with 2 women together, you got a couple full of Jezebels. They can't raise no babies together. That's not what God called for. But Black Lives Matter's narrative and agenda is to destroy the black community. And the money you send them pays for them to destroy our community. While they're defunding police, black people are dying left and right in New York. The murder rate is crazy. In Chicago, they dropping like flies. Yet you still screaming Black Lives Matter.
And word on the street is that Black Lives Matter is linked with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Oh,
word on the street.
And that's another thing.
That's another
you know we don't roll with Muslims. Y'all know we don't do that. We pray for them
on the street.
But you know we don't roll with Christians. We don't do that.
They're linked with the Muslim Brotherhood. That's word on the street.
That's
my research.
Do your research, find out, let us know. But that's the word on the street. That's the word on the street. So this is the thing. When I went there with that black paint, we bought all of these cans of paint, and we went there and we wanted to cover the entire thing. And the police officers, in a sense, had to get us. So I knew I had to get down there and I had to rub all of that black paint all over Black Lives Matter, because they're a lie and devil, demonic organization. And that police officer that fell, he is okay. He's okay, you guys. He is fine. He bumped his head, but he's okay. The police force reassured me that he's fine. He's okay. He's going to take a leave, but he's okay, you guys. And he's not upset with us. No, none of the police are upset with us. Nobody is mad at us, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Can I even add, Beth? When I said this was the best experience we ever had with law enforcement,
Yes.
we cannot stress this enough.
Best experience.
We don't want to say too much because it would be borderline, but I promise you, we appreciate them, and we know that they appreciated what we
Yes.
did in the name of the Lord, and I know that the gospel landed in that precinct.
Yes, it did. Jesus came. And I'll tell you this, in that precinct, when we found out that information about what was going on with the police force, we got inside scoop. That's all we're going to say. Inside scoop. When we left that police station, it was on like butter on popcorn. On. And I'm going to tell you why it was on. Because we realized that we have to fight for our police.
That's right.
And they want us to fight for us. Pay attention. If you don't catch this in this message, you're on your own. Pay attention. We have to fight for our police. We have to fight for our Constitution. We have to fight for our country. And listen, they want us to fight for them. So you take that how you want to take that. Last night, we went to Harlem and we poured paint all over that Black Lives Matter mural, which, mind you, you think Mayor de Blasio gonna pay for the ones in the hood? He put one right in front of Trump Towers, and then he put the rest of them in the hood. Every other place he put a Black Lives Matter mural is in the hood, okay? They are not guarded by police. Only the one in front of the Trump Towers is. He knows what he's doing. You think he's going to pay to cover it? No, he's not. That's not going to come out of city's payment. They don't care. He's focused on keeping it covered, keeping it there right in front of the Trump Towers, because it's a political statement. It has nothing to do with the Black people. So for all the Black people who are upset that I covered it, you're going to be even more mad because guess what? We're not going to stop. We are never going to support Black Lives Matter. We are never going to stand for an organization that is called to terrorize and destroy our country. And it's only going to get lit from here. I'm challenging everybody to go out and deface the devil. Deface the devil.
To destroy the works of the devil. For this purpose came he unto the world, to destroy the works of the devil. You don't know what it did to us when we saw another person arrested.
Yes.
We were being held in custody and we see someone in handcuffs and we realize, wait a minute.
They with us.
They threw some paint. It was a Black man.
And you guys, if you throw the paint, you're going to get out. Not unless you got like a warrant or a summons. Throw the paint. All it is a ticket. It's a ticket. It's a ticket. But it's bigger than getting a ticket. You got to be willing to get a ticket to save your country. Save your country.
And stand for what's right. Stand for the gospel.
Yeah.
And then an hour later,
let me get some more reflexos.
Another man showed up. This was a white man. And he told us he saw us on some videos, some news report or whatever that was, and he came all the way. They came all the way from Long Island, and he had white paint. I'm telling you, folks, it's a trickling effect that if we allow ourselves to, first of all, be consumed with the Spirit of the living God, be consumed with his presence and his counsel and his kingdom. I'm telling you, people, by morning, so many of the issues that we're dealing with would be solved.
Over. We're waiting on you to stand up. Waiting on you to stand up. Waiting on you to get up, rise up, fight back, take your country back. Look what they're doing to our country. Look at our Lincoln Memorial, bro. Look at our country. There is no excuse not to get up and stand and be willing to go to jail for your country. This is what Trump wants. This man can't stand alone. He needs the American people to be behind him. Y'all got to stop playing games and just thinking, oh, if I sit at home and just take a vote, it's going to work out. It don't work like that. You got to stand, you guys. You got to rise up. You got to rise up while you got the chance, while you still have your freedoms, while you still have them. You have to rise up. You have to. Huh?
We're pleading with you. We are pleading with you. If nothing else, we want to give glory to God Almighty. He has shown us favor, safety. He had ordered our steps. We thank God for so many people that supported us. I want to, Josette and Susan and Emmanuel and what's his name? I think it was James. Yeah. Those are the 4 that were with us yesterday. Really want to acknowledge Josette, want to acknowledge Susan, want to acknowledge people that they may not even know how all the information, but we love their spirit of willingness to just do the will of the Father.
Yeah.
On the go, not even knowing all the details, on the go.
Going. You guys.
We thank God for these people.
We did drive-by paintings last night. We was out there pulling up, dumping paint, getting out of there. Listen. Hey, fight for your country. Take it back. So you guys, I got to go get paint thinner now.
All right. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And that was the post release on Beverly Beatty and Edme Chavez. And so, like I said, we'll see more. I'm sure there'll be more developments coming from those two. This is not the first time or the second time or the third time that these two have been arrested. You know, this is their ministry. This is their way. This is their means. And, you know, you decide for yourself, but I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And I appreciate you guys for doing your diligence where available. And I appreciate you guys for taking the time and coming in. So you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And I might be around later for a moonlight stream. So we'll see. I might just make it a moonlight stream week. I might do it. So you guys have a great rest of the day, and thanks so much.